live from our studios here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. Hello, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. The bulletin is also live on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Health Service orders nationwide security overhaul following the mamprobi polyclinic baby theft. Meanwhile, the police service is expected to arraign the suspected baby thief on Friday. Also, this afternoon, President John Dramani Mahama signs into law the much-awaited 24-hour authority bill passed by Parliament. To get the details shortly. Plus, Ghana Military High Command visits survivors of recent terrorist attack at 37 military hospitals and shows traders and border communities of readiness to counter terrorist activities. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's get into the details of the story. Starting from here, the Ghana Health Service has rolled out sweeping reforms, new security directives following the alleged baby theft at mamprobi polyclinic. But the measures are already triggering mixed reactions and fresh questions about enforcement and oversight. In a February 18 directive signed by the Director General Samuel Kaba Aquaria, regional health directors have been ordered to immediately tighten security and patient care systems nationwide after a baby was reportedly stolen from the mamprobi polyclinic in Accra. The suspect, 33-year-old Latifa Salifu, was arrested for the baby's abduction, is currently in police custody awaiting prosecution. Now, while the service insists the new protocols, including stricter staff identification and discharge verification systems, will safeguard newborns and vulnerable patients, critics are asking whether these measures existed on paper before the incident and why they failed to prevent the breach. Let's now look at some of the measures outlined by the Ghana Health Service. Number one is this, that immediate reinforcement of comprehensive security measures across all facilities. Also, we're looking at this mandatory wearing of uniforms and visible name tags by all staff at all times within the facilities. Also, dedicated and continuous staff presence in post-natal wards, introduction of strict enforcement of a mandatory discharge verification system, plus upgrade and proper functioning and routine maintenance of CCTV surveillance systems. Also, we're looking at this one, intensified staff training on security awareness and enhanced patient care standards. These are some of the measures outlined by the Ghana Health Service following the child theft at the mamprobi hospital. Meanwhile, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Aquaria, has urged all health directors to ensure that hospital staff wear their uniforms with name tags for easy identification. This is what he said.
Stated that all health facilities is non-negotiable. All doctors and nurses should use their uniform with name tags, as we see in well-established health facilities. So that if all the nurses were in their uniform and with their name tags, the lady would have been easily identified, and this wouldn't have happened. The mother wouldn't have been confused to agree that she is a nurse, as she claimed. If we have all our doctors in their uniform with their name tags, it's very easy to identify and say it was Dr. So and so, or it was nurse so and so. So this is non-negotiable, that all health facilities is just a reminder, we are reiterating it, should always all health workers should be in their uniform.
That's the voice of the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Aquaria, speaking there. Let's speak with Professor Richmond Daite. He is a public health expert and a lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Public Health. Doc, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Prof, where were these security protocols already part of standard operating procedures? And if so, what does this incident reveal about compliance and supervision gaps in our health facilities?
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. First of all, let me say that I'm excited to hear that the baby in question has been found. But it's important to realize that this is part of a bigger issue. And that bigger issue has to do with patient safety and patient protection. When anybody goes to a health facility, they have the assumption that first they are going to be provided good medical care, and then also that the health facility is going to take care of them while they are there. The issue of theft is only one of the issues when it comes to this patient safety and protection. Such a system, if it's working well, needs to be responsive, and that's what we are seeing the Ghana Health Service doing. That once the incident happened, they are taking some steps to be able to address it. The system also needs to be sustainable. So this is a first step, but it shouldn't be just one step. It should be something that is continuous. So it has to be sustainable. And then it also has to be smart. The people who do these things, they use different approaches to do it. And for you to be able to catch such things, not just the step, but also the internal mismanagement of patients. And here I'm not talking about only medical care, but also even sometimes how we engage with patients who come in. That system has to be smart so that we'll be able to keep up with these issues when they come up. If you're asking whether Ghana Health Service has a protocol to be able to deal with that, as a general way of working, Ghana Health Service has a patient safety strategy. I think it was just in last year.
So, Prof, if these protocols exist, then this incident again, to the core of my question, what does it reveal about compliance and the supervision gaps we have in our health facilities?
Obviously, the system that has been put in place was compromised. That's why this happened. But maybe it is, like I was saying, it's a bigger issue than just this failure that has occurred in the Ghana health system. In many organizations in Ghana, you go in and either your information is being mentioned out loud that people who shouldn't hear are hearing, which is a compromise of your privacy, or people are not even looking at your face to be able to see who is coming in and interacting. So you are talking to somebody and their head is down and they are not looking at you. But these are small things that help us to ensure compliance, engaging with people.
Please
just one more point. I think it's important to realize that this is not just a Ghana Health Service issue. It's also a whole of society issue that involves other agencies, both government and non-government. Because people who do this don't only practice these things in government facilities. It can also happen, and I know it does happen in private facilities as well.
A few more questions, and if we can be brief, I'd greatly appreciate it. How practical is continuous staff presence in postnatal wards, given the current staffing levels across public health facilities?
So my opinion is that having eyeballs to check on these things is one of a more comprehensive, integrated security system within our health facilities. But the way things are going these days, with the kind of numbers of people who come through our health facilities, eyeballing alone will not be sufficient. This is where technology can be used. Indeed, in some facilities, not all, in some facilities, we have CCTV, but it is one thing having the technology and utilizing it. And I think that this creates opportunity for us to leverage what we have, build upon it, but also make sure that what we have right now is functional. We need to be very security conscious. And I think that if we expect that the Ghana Health Service alone by itself will be able to do this, we are probably not ready to deal with this. This is a whole of society thing that should be looked at beyond just the health service issue. Take this example. We train people who go to health school to learn medicine, to learn nursing. They don't go there to go and learn security.
Right.
And therefore, we should be very conscious about training people who would then go into all facilities, whether health, education, wherever, to be able to provide adequate institutional security.
I hear you. Thank you so much, Prof. We're grateful for your time with us on the program. Professor Richmond Aite is a public health expert and a lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Public Health, speaking with us there. We're still staying a little while on health because the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Korea, has expressed concern over delays in reporting to health facilities after people experience symptoms of the seasonal cerebrospinal meningitis disease. The service attributes the surge in the death toll of the current outbreak to late reporting, and at least 7 people have died in this recent outbreak. Well, speaking on the current interventions, Dr. Aquaria also urged health workers to step up surveillance and treatment efforts to prevent further deaths.
I would say that we are working very hard. Last week we spent the whole week up north, Saboba, we went to Kintampo, we went to Navrongo, we went to Bolga, we went to Wale Wale and all that stretch. And this week we'll be going to Wa and Bole, Damango and all that to cover up, to make sure that we cover all the meningitis belt and give the necessary assistance. And so far we have a northern region and Upper West, and then Savannah region and Northeast affected. And so far, we've recorded about 11 deaths, and all the deaths that we've recorded are people who, the majority were brought in dead, and the others too, they came in extremely late. And that is why we've taken that decision that the medication, the treatment is for free, and is available, and nobody should stay at home because of lack of resources. Immediately they feel any signs and symptoms, they get to the nearest health facility within their zone, and they will be taken care of, and they will be transferred, if necessary, to the next level to have. Because history has shown that when they get to the hospital early, all the confirmed cases who got there early, they've all survived.
That's the voice of Dr. Samuel Kaba Akoria there. Some other stories this afternoon. President John Dramani Mahama has asked the 24-hour Economic Secretariat to move from strategy to implementation after signing the 24-hour economic bill into law. Speaking shortly after signing the document on Thursday, President Mahama urged the Secretariat to be clear in communicating the law's incentives to the business community for increased productivity and employment.
Cabinet colleagues have just appended my signature to give assent to the 24-hour authority bill. This is a bill Ghanaians have been waiting for. It was one of our flagship strategies for economic transformation. It's taking a while, but we needed to go patiently through the process to give legal effect to it. And so from now, we must move from strategy to implementation. The business sector is waiting, Ghanaian investors are waiting, foreign investors are waiting. They want to see the package of incentives that we afford them so that they can invest more and expand productivity and also create more employment for our young people. And so it's my pleasure to assent to this bill today. Thank you. And let me congratulate the team that has been working on it, our comrade Guzitando and his team. We're very grateful. Thank you very much.
The voice of President John Dramani Mahama there, as he asks the 24-hour Economic Secretariat to move from strategy to implementation after signing the 24-hour economic bill into law, urging the Secretariat to be clear in communicating the law's incentives to the business community for increased productivity and employment. Let's now bring you some more news on the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. And this afternoon, government has proposed a change in the name of the National Intelligence Bureau to the Bureau of National Intelligence in a new bill laid before Parliament. It argues the current abbreviated NIB is often mistaken for the National Investment Bank, and the Security and Intelligence Agency's bill is also seeking to place national security coordination under the presidency while effectively scrapping the Ministry for National Security. Minority MPs have kicked against the proposed reforms in the bill, describing it as flawed and overly centralizing power in the National Security Coordinator without adequate safeguards. And here are excerpts from the debate in the chamber.
Unfortunately, we have a situation where when you say NIB, people are wondering whether you're talking about the bank or you're talking about the security agency. So, Mr. Speaker, one of the significant things that we are trying to do is to reintroduce the name BNI. But this time, even though the BNI of yesterday was Bureau of National Investigation, this BNI will still remain Bureau of National Intelligence.
So it will be dangerous for this nation to make that office an agency and say that Parliament shall audit its accounts just like what they are doing to others. I think it's a misplaced priority. If you do that, you will suffer. Take it from me. You will have difficulty because when you need your soldiers to move in 30 minutes to quell an instance, you won't have resources. If the president has a problem of appointing a minister, he should not appoint the minister as he has done. There's no need.
What is being proposed? So much power is being given to the coordinator. It is not clear how his powers are going to be fettered. There will be the need for the minister to sit with us as a house, do further winnowing, and incorporate the major concerns raised by the minority on this floor.
We indeed cut down the number of ministers.
The decision to amend this.
And among the ministries that we decided to guillotine was the Minister for National Security. The fundamental thing about this bill is to revise the existing legislation and take out the imposition of a Minister for National Security. And this historical wrong has to be corrected. And that's what we are doing today. We are correcting the wrongs of the NPP government.
The voices of some members of parliament in the chamber yesterday as they debated the proposal from government to change the name of the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, to the Bureau of National Intelligence in a new bill laid before Parliament. Now, the military high command has assured traders and residents in Ghana's border communities of its full readiness to respond swiftly to any terrorist attacks or threats along the country's frontiers. The assurance follows a recent attack near Ghana's northern border, an incident that has raised fresh security concerns among traders and cross-border travelers. During a visit to 3 surviving victims currently receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital, the High Command urged the public to remain vigilant and security conscious, particularly when traveling in border areas. Joseph Armstrong Godalagwe was at the 37 military hospital. He joins us live with some more updates. Armstrong, thank you for joining us. Tell us about the visit by the military high command and what prompted this visit and what more have they been saying?
Crosby, so this morning the high command got to the 37 military hospital based on what happened in Burkina Faso, leading to the death of some 8 Ghanaian traders who went there to get themselves some tomatoes to bring back to Ghana to sell, and leading to their death. 3 of them who survived were evacuated to Ghana yesterday by the military. So based on that, yesterday the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, was at the hospital to visit them, and this morning the military high command also went there, led by the Chief of the Defense Staff, the Chief of the Army Staff, and paid them a visit. Later, I saw that of the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration also coming in there to pay visits and also assure them that all medical bills will be taken care of by the state. Crosby.
Since the unfortunate incident on Tuesday, the Ghana Armed Forces was tasked to evacuate our colleagues, our brothers and sisters, and so Tuesday evening we brought 3 of them from Burkina Faso. 2 are critically injured, and so they are currently receiving treatment at the 37 Military Hospital. And the Military High Command, led by Lieutenant General William Ejapong, that's the CDS, this morning, and the service chiefs deemed it appropriate to come and see the injured and check how they are doing, and also to give directives to the 37 Command to give their best so that our colleagues can heal and join us. 37 will give its best. Moreover, His Excellency the President has also come to assure them that everything required to give them the best treatment, he's ready to foot the bill. And even aside that, 37 is going to do its utmost best to ensure that our brother and sister recover from this unfortunate incident.
Armstrong is still on the line with me. Armstrong, so we heard from the Military High Command, but what more should we expect going forward? Hello, Armstrong, can you hear me?
Yeah, Crosby, I can hear you.
Right, so I'm saying that we've heard from the Military High Command. Talk to us about what next we should expect going forward in the coming days.
Yeah, so the military says they are going to deploy more people to the borders, particularly along the Burkina Faso area, to ensure that traders that are traveling out in and out of the country are well protected to avert some of these things in the near future. Crosby.
Thank you so much, Armstrong, for speaking with us there. Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogbe is my colleague who spoke with us there. This is still the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. Let's bring you some other stories this afternoon. And more than 600,000 members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOCSAG, they are set to embark on a nationwide strike beginning March 9, 2026. The association says the industrial action is intended to press home its demand for the immediate implementation of its conditions of service, which was concluded and approved in 2023. Speaking at a news conference, the Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Isaac Bampoado, said the decision follows what he described as prolonged delays by the appropriate authorities in addressing the concerns of members. According to him, the association remains open to dialogue, but insists that concrete steps must be taken to implement the agreed terms. Well, if carried through, the strike is expected to affect operations across civil and local government offices nationwide.
Thursday, 19th February 2026, the National Executive Council, NEC, of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Ghana, CLOCSAG, met to consider the state of the negotiation on unique salary structure and other conditions of service for the staff of the civil service and the local government service. Taking the NEC through the journey of the unique salary structure and other conditions of service for the staff of the civil service and the local government service, which started as far back as 2019, culminating in the signing of 2 separate MOUs, the NEC observed that the staff of the services are being taken for granted as reminders to the Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission have not been responded to. Government has been mute over their own promises to implement the unique salary structure and other conditions of service with effect from 1st January 2023. In the light of the above, NEC decided to declare an industrial action to back the demand for better conditions of service for its members. NEC decided further that should the government fail to honor its side of the bargain, the constituents of CLOCSAG will embark on a nationwide strike with effect from 9th March 2026.
The voice of Isaac Bampoado there. But away from that, displaced shop owners at the Takwa Wood village have made a desperate appeal to President Mahama to intervene in what they describe as the selective demolishing of their shops. They say the exercise carried out by engineers reportedly acting on behalf of the Takwa Insoyemi Assembly has cost them thousands of cedis and destroyed their business. Rama Smith has more in this report.
For the affected shop owners, the scene was nothing short of a nightmare. Monica Nkrumah recounts the trauma of that fateful morning, saying they woke up to find everything they had built swept away, shops reduced to rubble. There was no warning, just the deafening sound of destruction. This is in spite of the fact that the land was given to them by the Takwa Insoyem Municipal Assembly 4 years earlier, after they were relocated from the old wood village. As the dust settles, the traders are left grappling with more than just losses. They are questioning the motives behind the demolition, alleging that their shops were deliberately singled out while other businesses in the vicinity were left untouched.
By a old village, wood village, no more and I have to a transformer.
We were initially at the old wood village when the assembly relocated us here. To the best of my knowledge, this land belongs to the government. If government intended to relocate us again, we should have been duly informed, but nothing of that sort happened. Instead, we returned the next morning only to witness this demolition. Look at my machine. Unfortunately, it rained that day and our equipment was damaged. My plywood has also been destroyed, and what little remains is unsellable. This is a huge blow to us, amounting to several thousands of cedis in losses. Despite a report to the police, the shop owners say they have been met with silence and inaction. Now they are counting on the president and higher authorities to intervene and deliver justice to their devastated community.
Na menkebi nshemu ye yabeton ade Monday ko Tuesday ya MC.
We came to work on Monday only to return the next morning and witness this. It has been confirmed by the MCE's PRO that they carried out the demolition exercise. According to our laws, such demolitions are not supposed to single out individuals. As you can see, there's a shop before me that was left untouched, yet they demolished mine, skipped one after mine, and pulled down another. We are therefore calling on the president and higher authorities to launch an investigation into this matter. They have destroyed all my machines. In an effort to verify the traders' claims, the news team contacted the assembly, but officials declined to speak. Rama Smith, TV3 News, Takwa Insoyem.
And that was a report by my colleague Rama Smith there on the Midday Live. That's how we wrap up on the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. But before we go, let's remind ourselves of some of our headline stories this afternoon. This afternoon, Ghana Health Service orders nationwide security overhaul following mamprobi polyclinic baby theft. Meanwhile, the police service is expected to arraign the suspected baby thief on Friday. Plus, President Mahama signs into law the much-awaited 24-hour Economic Authority Bill passed by Parliament. Also, this afternoon, Ghana Military High Command visits survivors of recent terrorist attack at 37 Hospital and assures traders and border communities of readiness to counter terrorist threats. That's our package for you. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
7. I am Enyuna Muiga. Coming up this afternoon, implementation of new cocoa price for the remainder of 2025-2026 crop season starts tomorrow amid the sector reforms. Also, Ghana retains fourth spot at Africa's top IMF debtors despite the decline in public debt. Bring you details of these and other stories. Please stay with us. Staying with us now to our first story. Ghana has begun 2026 maintaining its position as the fourth highest borrower from the International Monetary Fund in Africa, even as new figures show a decline in the country's overall public debt. Ghana's exposure to the International Monetary Fund stood at special draw rating SDR 1.96 billion in February 2026, higher than SDR 2.85 billion as of December 22, 2025, which is equivalent to $2.84 billion. There's more in the following report.
The figure reflects a reduction in the country's outstanding obligations to the Bretton Woods institution, largely due to ongoing debt repayment. Despite the reduction, Ghana still ranks fourth in Africa among countries with the highest IMF debt. Egypt leads the continent with $5.88 billion owed to the fund. Cote d'Ivoire follows with $3.62 billion, Kenya with $2.93 billion, while Angola ranks fifth at $2.49 billion. Meanwhile, Ghana's overall public debt stock recorded a notable drop between September and November 2025. The country's debt fell by 40 billion cedis to 444.6 billion cedis, representing about 45% of gross domestic product. In dollar terms, the total stood at $57.2 billion in November 2025, lowering than October's $57.8 billion, but slightly higher than September's $55.1 billion. Data from the Bank of Ghana shows public debt at 630.2 billion cedis as of October 2026. Fiscal discipline and prudent debt management will be key to maintaining the downward trend.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana retaining the fourth spot as Africa's top IMF debtor despite decline in public debt. Now, away from that, a sharp spike in utility costs at the start of 2026 is raising concerns about possible reversal of the country's inflationary trend despite an overall decline in annual producer inflation. New data from the Ghana Statistical Service reveals a cooling of long-term price pressures at the factory gate, with annual producer price dipping to 1.6% in January 2026. Now, a senior fellow at the think tank Africa Policy Lens, Dr. Eric Bachi-Adam, has cautioned that despite the spike in month-on-month producer price inflation by 3.3% could transmit to consumer price inflation.
The figures highlight a shift compared to the same period last year, when producer price inflation stood at 28.5%, while the year-on-year trend shows significant easing. A sharp 3.3% month-on-month increase in January suggests that producers are facing renewed short-term cost spikes. The mining and quarrying subsector, which dominates the PPI basket with a 43.7% weight, saw a slight uptick in annual inflation to 3.7%. In contrast, the manufacturing sector plunged further into deflation, recording a rate of negative 2.2% compared to 0.1% the previous month. Electricity and gas inflation jumped dramatically from 6.1% in December to 14.8% in January. Similarly, water supply and waste management rose from 2.3% to 9.9% over the same period. A senior fellow at Africa Policy Lens, Dr. Eric Bachi-Adam, notes the significant easing over the past year is a major victory for fiscal consolidation. However, the January utility spikes remind him that the factory gate is still sensitive to structural cost.
If production precedes consumption, then this data is indicative that February inflation, consumer price inflation is likely to go up per what the producer price inflation is telling us. And there is a need for government to roll in policy. I remember government talked about giving incentivized utility or electricity to reduce the cost of production. Over 12 months down the line, government need to bring in this policy to be able to cut electricity and gas prices for production.
The increases utility sector are largely attributed to the implementation of the 2026-2030 multi-year tariff order, which saw significant upward adjustments in utility prices effective January 1.
Now, to some other stories, and the managing director for the produce buying company, Seydou Yonye, has appealed to stakeholders not to categorize the company among the failing state-owned enterprises. Now, speaking on the company's performance, he said the PBC was a viable and competitive player in Ghana's cocoa sector between 2012 and 2016, when it controlled about 30.8% of the market share. He, however, noted that the company is currently has no market share, blaming the decline on a lack of political will and what he described as poor leadership in the recent years. He said efforts are underway to reposition the company and restore its competitiveness in the cocoa processing space.
2012 to 2016 was good leadership, and that made PBC profitable, and it was evident with a market share of 30.8, with good audited accounts, which are verifiable. 2016 to 2024, bad leadership by the MPP administration, and that has brought PBC to a comatose level without audited accounts and no market share. These are the realities. We want it to be clear. In an attempt to set the record straight, we don't make open blanket statements. If a company will strive well, it depends on leadership. It depends on the management. And if a company is going to do worse, it depends on the same leadership and management. So the two scenarios are set for you. You could see that under the SY NDC regime, PBC was doing very well, and it's evident. And when MPP took over, PBC had gone down, and it's also evident. So if we want to help the system, we want to help Ghanaians, at least we those who feel we know much, we the intellectuals talking to these matters, we should not assume a sycophantic position.
And that was the managing director for the produce buying company, Seydou Yonye. Meanwhile, implementation of the revised producer price for cocoa farmers in Ghana takes effect tomorrow, Friday, February 20, 2026, marking a significant shift in the government's approach to managing the sector. The adjustment comes as part of a broader reform package aimed at stabilizing the Ghana Cocoa Board and responding to a sharp decline in international cocoa prices.
The revised producer price will apply to all cocoa purchased nationwide for the rest of the 2025-2026 crop season. Government of Ghana has reduced the producer price of cocoa from 58,000 cedis per ton, which was 3,625 cedis per bag, to 41,392 cedis per ton, which translates to 2,587 cedis per bag for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season. Under the new structure, the producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season is 41,392 cedis per ton. At the buying centers, farmers will now receive 1,241 cedis 76 pesos per load of 30 kilograms of grade 1 and grade 2 cocoa beans naked XL. The approved price per 64 kilograms bag gross is 2,587 cedis. This means a full ton of cocoa made up of 16 bags will attract a total payment of 41,392 cedis. The upward adjustment is expected to boost farmer incomes and sustain production for the remainder of the season.
And that brings us to the end of Business Daily on FreeFM 92.7. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com I am Enyona Malika. Stay tuned.